Hello, welcome back to Auto Pop Culture. Excuse me. Today we're going over the chilling adventures of Sabrina, part 2, or season 2. And this season, actually, I was really excited because the last season was pretty good and it wrapped up a lot of things that were going on, and I really, really liked it. So I was really excited to see how season 2 is gonna go. I personally think the first season, well, both seasons were good. The first season had more involving episodes, I would say. Because I felt like I felt like it didn't really get anything intense until maybe episode 6 of part 2. I felt like episode 1 through 4 were interesting, and I understand that they're laying down a lot of like background and everything and setting everything up. But I kind of felt like there was a couple of episodes that just kind of drifted off. Like I didn't really care. There's some characters that they were trying to shine light onto that I didn't really care for, like the Theo character. And I do appreciate the Theo character moving from going through his finding out that he may be transgender male, and so they go through that whole process, but it doesn't really go through the process. He finds out that he finds out what's going on, because throughout the whole time he was trying to go through shaving his head and going through all these things, just trying to figure out what was going on and why does he feel so different from everybody else. And he finds out, I think I know, because I'm a man in a woman's body. So they go through that whole process, but it stops. What you think it would go through is just oh, I should go talk to my doctors and and go through the therapy it takes to go through to get to that next level, which is interesting because I thought that was the way they're gonna go, but I understand that they cannot. If they decided to go that direction, it would pay a lot of attention to him instead of actually going to instead of focus on Sabrina, which is the reason that this title is Sabrina. It's about her and the magic and everything. So they kind of mixed it in the magic, which is, I kind of felt like that was a bit of a, I get the idea that it is convenient to have a witch friend and then just go to her house and happen to know which one is the one which potion's gonna make her turn. I forgot the female name of this character. It's been Theo since then. When Theo was a she got this potion to move over. Oh no, it was still he. Okay, I think the potion. I think his name became Theo before the potion, I think. I want to say. Anyway, so he finds a potion and tries to make himself more masculine and everything, which makes a lot of sense. But so it's convenient that that was that term happening. But I honestly felt like it was a bit of a waste of time if they weren't going to go deeper into it. And it's just if you can't do a transgender story fully, what's the point of doing it at all? Because they kind of gave him a spotlight. And then they completely ditched him after a while. And it was well, that's a bit of a tough story that we're still, to this day, do not know the full story, how it feels to actually be in that situation. And we're still learning to this day. Hell, I'm still learning this day. And I've been in the community for a long time. I'm gay myself. But it's just we're still learning a lot about this. It's a new area that this generation is learning about. So I'm happy that they're giving a voice to that. And I felt like it was a little bit rushed. It also was a little bit, to be blunt, honestly, pandering, nodding to oh, we made her a transgender male and she wanted to change her body. Now she doesn't want to change her body. She just wants to be by herself. And I get that there's different situations for everybody. But I felt like this one was a bit kind of lazy. There could have been way more defining differences of why she wanted to be, why she felt why she was a male inside and why she wanted to be known as Theo. What's Theo mean? You know, it's just like we didn't really get any of that kind of background to what to coming up to the story. It kind of turned out he just turned around and said like, well, I feel like I'm a man. I'm a boy, not a girl. And then my name is Leo. And then it's just like, it was very sudden. There was no climb. There was no build. Like, I get the whole, like, in the first season, it was just like, are you a boy or a girl? Boy or a girl? We tease you for it. And I was like, I used to get teased about that all the time just because I looked a certain femme. So it's just, that's not a direct thing that happened. I'm sure that's a thing that happens with gendered people, but I felt like because it's so common in other gay community, like other parts of it, like lesbians get that all the time, like us gays get that all the time because we're feminine. We're definitely way more feminine when we're younger, and so we got that confused. Like, are you a girl or a guy, kind of thing. Like, that's not that's not just direct to the transgendered people. It's pretty much all of us in this queer community that get that a lot, because we naturally bend a lot of gender rules that the mainstream straight community kind of been pressing onto us. So it's just like, I don't know, like it felt kind of flip-floppy about how they really want to take it seriously, but then they just kind of just ditched her with the story and just like, okay, you know, we did what we could. She's not stressing about maybe wanting to be more masculine. She's not stressing about maybe wanting to go through therapy that they usually have to do to get before the sex change and everything happens. And so just like, we're just kind of just going to leave it with just a raw, just like, okay, you know? So I wasn't really happy with that. But then we get into episode 6, and we get into the whole thing where the angels get involved, which is another very sudden thing. Like, we didn't know, like, when it comes to what I've learned with Supernatural, and thank God Supernatural it's literally Supernatural to be a guidebook to how you present supernatural beings, is that they told you there's a chance that angels may be a thing, but they climb you with everything else. Like, you get a handful of other things that build to angels being shown. You know, like, you kind of think, you start expecting that, like, okay, if everybody else is being shown, then they talked about, like, oh, if there's in hell, should there be in heaven? And they're, like, talked about it for a while, and finally it happens. This one just dropped out of nowhere, just like they were witch hunters, and then they happened to have the power of the Lord with on their side, so just, like, it was very sudden. But with that said, it did turn into a better season, because we got to kind of evolve on exactly what the hell is going on. What are we leading to? And it finally had the turn point where we find out that, spoiler alert, that Sabrina is supposed to be the Antichrist. And so it's kind of cool. It was really cool in that side to kind of see that happen. But once again, it was a very, like, rushed moment. It was just like, she has powers, now she has a little more powers. She's just using her mind to do it. And it was like, we get that, but it's just like, we weren't really expecting this big of a growth this soon, you know? But with that said, it was really cool to see her kind of vanish the angels, and through, like, from then on, you kind of, like, every shit just goes crazy in the best way. Like, they find out who Lilith actually is. We finally get into the politics of how the witching world works. With Father Blackwood trying to keep the masculine, trying to keep the witches very, like, compliant and everything, but then, like, there's an undertow working against him in this whole thing, which is, I kind of get the metaphor. I think that and then, like, with Sabrina turning out that she's the one that brings on the apocalypse, and so like that, and so her thought is that if she turns off her powers, or cancels out her powers, and they won't have any, then there's no apocalypse, which is kind of worked, but it brought into Lucifer. So we finally get to meet Lucifer, and, well, we do meet him in, like, before in, like, the little horns and, like, goat kind of look, which is, I do not like it. It just looked it looked very 80s, the way that they used it. And I was like, I feel like if he's the Big Daddy boss, we shouldn't show his face or any kind of form of him, you should always, I personally think it should have been shadows. And if he is into the, like, if he is talking, it's always you see the shadow of him talking. If he's walking around and you see his face and everything, he shouldn't be saying anything. Because I feel like it breaks out the fear of who he is. It's pretty much the Voldemort effect. You shouldn't show Voldemort until it actually is appropriate to show him. Because I felt like that they showed him way too soon in Harry Potter. So then it was just like, okay, it was not really that scary. He's not really that powerfully scary either. Because he's just doing the exact same thing. And I felt like this with the whole not Blackwood, with Lucifer. Like I did like the fact that when I think when he was in that animal form, it just looked kind of cheesy, you know. But because, like I said, it got better after episode 6, because then he showed him in his like angel form, which is actually cool that they gave us a backstory with him and how he met Lilith and how that became a whole thing, and she's the first witch and it's like that. And it's just like, I like that. I like seeing him. He's pretty hot. So I like that backstory, and so they had to like trap Lucifer into Nick's body, which is Nick is kind of a flip-flop for me. I do like him, but I do feel like he's a little bit of like, I didn't really know where I stood with him exactly. I knew he was hot, I knew he had some type of feelings, but it kind of turned around pretty quickly, you know? So they trap Lucifer in Nick's body, and they find out that to stop the apocalypse, because the demons were coming out of the hole, like the demon hole or whatever, or hell, or door of hell. And then Lilith rises up to be the new queen of hell, now that they don't have Lucifer, that Lucifer's inside a body, and he's knocked out, so he's now inside a body. Now, with that said, it comes down to this, my biggest critique I have for this season is that the last episode finale was very supernatural, completely supernatural, and I know that I'm not supposed, like, I shouldn't compare those two, but honestly, Supernatural did a lot of these things way before the show came out. So for me personally, due to the fact that I watched all the Supernaturals, and that they were one of the few ones that actually went into depth into all of these urban legends and hell and heaven and vampires and werewolves and all that stuff. Like, they really combine a lot of things together in the best way, and they explain everything too. So just like, this was very, very season 5 of Supernatural. It's like, they had to close the Devil's Gate. They had to stop the apocalypse. They finally do at the last minute, and then these other friends helped close the Devil's Gate, and then a demon who's been beating back and forth, where she's good, she's bad, she's good, she's bad, she's kind of looking out for herself, becomes Queen of Hell. That reminds me of Crowley, where he becomes King of Hell after Lucifer leaves. So just it's completely same area, completely different with the whole like who's doing it, but the plot of the plan of everything is pretty much exactly the same. Sam is supposed to be the Antichrist, and then it turns into Jack being the Antichrist, but it's the exact same type of premise, so I don't really care for that, and that's my huge critique of it. Other than that, the whole thing of how it went down was kind of cool. It was really fun. I didn't like Harvey. I still, to this day, kind of like iffy with him. I feel like he's like I feel like in CW, or I kind of compare them to CW, since they're like nodding to like the whole Greendale and Riverdale kind of thing, since one of them showed up on Riverdale. So I'm assuming they're connected in some way. So it's very CW to have them like, to have a brooding character, you know. So we have Archie, who's completely broody. He's upset. He's crying over things because he's hot and these girls want him, but he only wants one. But then he doesn't really want one. He wants to fuck everybody, but then he's sad because he's lonely. Like, it's a shit show. But with this one, it kind of did the same thing with Harvey, where he was brooding, he wanted everybody, but didn't want everybody, and blah, blah, blah. And it's just like, sounds like you need to like take some time for yourself and figure you out before you involve other people into it. And I feel like that's exactly what they were trying to do at first, but then it just turned into a shit show where he's just like, okay, I just fall for the girl, for Sabrina's girl, one of her best friends, and we just fall in love. And I was like, from where? From where did you guys fall in love? From where did you guys turn into like, oh, we want to be, I fell in love with you since the beginning. I was like, no, you didn't. You didn't. Like, honestly felt like Harvey had no interest, and I forgot her name, the one that does the cunning, but he had no interest in her other than like, we're like casual friends. So it kind of bugged me, the fact that we kind of just sped that up. And it was like, the chemistry wasn't unique or wasn't believable. Whereas like, what's his name? I felt like the relationship between the aunt and the werewolf that works in the book, is it magic shop? Whatever. He works there. Like, that chemistry was way more realistic, like, not realistic, way more believable than that one, than the Harvey and the cunning girl relationship. But with all of that, I did like from episode 6 on, which was like maybe 4 more episodes, it turned into something that was really, really fun. So pretty much I kind of liked it, kind of didn't really care for the first kind of beginning, but my opinion, so I want to know what you guys thought about it, if you guys liked it, if you guys didn't like it, or what your concerns and thoughts about it. Leave a comment below, and don't forget to subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next video, and I hope everybody has a great day.